hello. Welcome to the show. Synth Network Live, episode 141. It's just gone a little bit after 7. We've had some technical issues with a little surprise guest we have for you. But don't worry, they're coming back, and don't worry, it's also. I said if I talk the usual bollocks at the beginning of the show, that'll give them plenty of time to reboot everything. Anyway, so let's do that. By the way, hope you're all well. Hello to everyone in the chat. If you're watching live, if you're not watching live, well, hello, whenever you might be. Whether you're watching this the next day or the next week, or maybe you've saved this until the Christmas break when you're just sleeping off your turkey or whatever it is that you have at Christmas dinner. I don't know. I'm having beef this year myself. Anyway, let's do all the boring stuff. As ever, thank you for watching. And if you like what you see, there's a button for that. And if you wouldn't mind clicking it, that would be awfully nice. And of course, if you don't like it, we'll click the dislike button. That's fine too. We do know that it's been pushed. And if we get some significant dislikes, we will revisit that, laugh, and carry on as per usual. Do comment, of course. If you're watching live, then you know how to do that in the live chat. We are broadcasting on YouTube. That's the main place. We also broadcast on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. Now, as far as Twitter's concerned, we don't see anything, and quite frankly, I'm thinking of just stopping it there anyway. Twitch comments we do get through, although I'm not entirely sure we can reply to you. But yeah, we'll try. But if you feel you're being ignored, please do not take it personally. It's just a limitation of our technology. So we can see all the comments and we will address them. But yeah, so there you go. And what else have we got? Facebook, of course. You can comment on Facebook and we see those and we can reply to those as well. So that's cool. Anyway, subscribe if you haven't already. Please do. It does help. And share us around. We're easy. We don't mind. So yeah. Do that, and that'd be fantastic. That's that. Can you tell it's going to be a pretty sort of relaxed kind of show today? We rely on all of your donations. It keeps us going through alcohol and hookers. No, it doesn't. It pays for the bills, and the bills are getting more expensive. So we do thank you for that. We really appreciate it, and hopefully next year we can start putting some of the small surplus to some good use. So thank you ever so much for your donations. I've seen some come in. I will get to those shortly. Also, if you donated last week, I completely forgot to mention you, because when I shut the show down, I'd still got your comments flagged on my system here, and I completely forgot to mention you. I can't remember who you are now, but if you did donate last week and you thought, oh, snotty git, didn't even say thank you, I'm saying thank you now. So thank you, and I do apologise for missing that. But if you want to keep us funded, then of course you can do that through the YouTube super stickers, super chats, whatever they're called. If you're watching on catch up, there's a button underneath there that says thanks. You can do the same there, and of course you can also donate to us through the PayPal channel just there. The link is in the description underneath as well. Clickable link, so it can take you straight there. You can also support us in other ways, such as buying our wonderful merchandise, t-shirts, polo shirts, and hoodies. I don't think there's anything else at the moment, but yeah, so you can buy our merch, and actually we'll have some merch on public sale at some point next year. As in, you can come and see us in person at a particular event, which we'll talk about later, and you can buy your t-shirts and goodies there directly with us and give us cold hard cash. So that's the merchandise stuff. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and of course right here on YouTube is the same handle throughout at ProSynth Network. And if you want to ask a question during the show, like what the hell are you talking about? Why are you talking about this? Why are you spending so much time talking about this? And other questions, then feel free to do so. But make sure you put a big capital Q at the front of your question so that we can see it and throw it in the bin. That's the storage bin where we go back and retrieve the questions and then ask them. So yeah, I think that's everything that we've done. It has given our special surprise guest time to reboot stuff and come back in. Hopefully it's all working. We'll find out in just a moment. Before we do, let's go to the south west of London-ish. And bring in Mr. Kent Spong. Hello.
Greetings.
Oh, he's got his gloves on. Or is that... No, that's not a glove. That's a support thing. Have you
hurty?
Been too hard, have you? Or...
Yeah, basically, yeah. Well, we see all these hookers we keep buying with the money from PSN. Actually, stay under the desk.
Was she a large one?
I won't be long. Yeah, it's yeah. No, I've done something stupid. I think we'll call it Roli wrist.
Okay.
I think for argument's sake.
Nice. Well, I hope you always seem to be in the wars just lately. It's,
yes.
Yes. Yeah. And getting, you know, man of your age and all that, into...
I hit 60 and falling apart. There you go.
Exactly, yeah. It's just sort of coming off the rails, isn't it? But other than that, well, yes.
Yeah, everything else.
Enjoying the full extent of your Hydrosynth now that you've discovered that there was a firmware issue.
It never worked properly since I took it out the box. I have. I've been really enjoying it.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Right, well, that's that. Welcome. Ben, of course, isn't here again, which is why we've sort of gone off the rails a bit. He keeps us on the straight and narrow, bless him. But it was just going to be me and Kent tonight, just rambling on. There's only a few little news topics. I haven't even sent them to to Kent because they're just not really. There's nothing massive. There's nothing massively newsworthy. But I did suggest, and this was the funny thing. So I put up on our Facebook page that it would just be us rambling, talking, or testiculating, as I like to call it. And it got the most kind of likes and responses to one of our show posts on Facebook than we've had for a long time. So maybe we should do more testiculation, which is just roughly translated as talking bollocks. Maybe we should do more of that. And of course, the chief bollock talker supreme, as we all know, is the one and only Mr. Tyon Wynn.
That's the introduction, man.
And there you go. It doesn't get better than that, does it?
But is it working now, though? That's
it is. You're smooth and non-stuttery and synchronised.
Yay! And full of bollocks.
And full of bollocks.
Yay.
Yeah. How are you? It's been a while.
It has. It has been a while.
Is that because you're now putting your feet up?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yes. It's been a busy few months, and I finished the busyness, and as you personally know and Kent knows, I adore Christmas, and so I am kind of taking some time off and loving it. Yeah, it's great.
Good
so I'm
stuff.
happy. I'm not grumpy Gertz.
We'll soon change that.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. If you want to be grumpy Gertz, I don't mind.
I saw something on the YouTubes today. I don't know if you're aware of a YouTuber called Synth Punk. You aware of Synth Punk? No,
I'm not.
Probably just as well, because he probably would make the blood boileth over.
Okay.
He's an odd chap, and I don't want to, promote him too much. Not that I've got anything against him. It's just odd. But he posted a video the other day, and it was another anti-Behringer rant. He's very anti-Behringer. And you were quoted. And not only were you quoted...
Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay.
But he took a video of you and distorted your voice a little and gave you a vampire sort of makeover with some sort of graphic filter type thing. And I was transfixed. It was quite entertaining, actually. I'll send you a link later. But yeah,
great.
It was. I think it was when you had your big rant about Behringer on Sonic Talk. Some while ago. Yeah.
Okay.
And he was just using that because apparently somebody had edited Wikipedia to say that Uli Behringer, in brackets, often attacked online by people like Tyon Wynn and Synthpunk.
You are joking.
Well, that's what he showed on his screen, but I then went into Wikipedia and checked the edits, and I couldn't find anything there that suggested that was true, so it was probably a faked-up page. But it did look quite true, and for a second I was convinced.
I mean, to be fair, for years Wikipedia said that I was, 70-something on Wikipedia. I was 70-something years old.
Are you not?
No, amazingly not, no. If I am, I look good for it. But in the same way, never trust anything online. It's like I had an argument once on YouTube about some music that I'd written for a TV series, and they turned around and said, no, it wasn't you, it was written by a blind man. And and they'd got it into their head it was written by a blind man. And when I'm there going, no, I wrote this music. No, you didn't. I can't stand people like you who are jumping in, pretending that you do. And they're going,
Wow.
I did. No, it was written by a blind man, apparently.
Well, so it wasn't a critique on your poor compositional skills that you couldn't see what you were doing. It was actually they genuinely thought it was written by somebody who was actually blind.
Anyway, it's lovely seeing you all.
Yeah.
It was lovely not seeing you all. Bye.
Yeah.
It was probably just a spelling mistake. It was probably written by a bald man.
That deserves.
I can't.
What
I can't come back on that one.
I can do it, Neil.
Superb.
Brilliant.
Anyway,
But,
it's good to see you.
it's good to be here.
It's a bit dark there, but good to see.
Sorry, is it?
It's night time.
I can put some more lights on. I'll go and put some more lights on. Hang on a second.
Pad
Trust
your
me,
head
he
and
has
put
more
some
lights.
on. Yeah, well, yes, quite.
My God, does he have more lights?
Indeed. Anyway, I think. Oh no, that's behind you.
Yeah, I know they're behind me. I'm well aware the way light works. Is that still no? Is that?
Well, you're dark, but everywhere else is quite bright.
Yeah, because now the
God's
camera's
sake.
kind of compensating for the.
Okay. Leave it with me. You
Okay,
carry on
well,
talking.
yeah, we'll do that.
Don't
Whilst
turn
we
on a keyboard.
Yeah, whilst Ty sorts his lighting out, let me first of all say thank you to some people who have already donated to the show. Thank you. I don't want to spend huge amounts of time thanking people for their money, but hey, they throw it at us. Andrew says, "Shut up and get on with it."
Oh, show notes. Thanks for that, Andrew.
Yeah, £5. And David Serchek, thanks in
David.
advance. No pressure. Fantastic donation here from Mr. Jason Crouch. £20. Thanks for all the content this year.
you.
You're more than welcome. We love it. Oh God, it's getting darker there now. Look at that. And Mr. Andy
Weird lines.
Synth Addict. Twitter is a dumpster fire these days, thanks to you know who. Absolutely, which is why I'm thinking of quitting it altogether, and I don't think we need it. But yes, thank you to everyone. What's that? 20, 30, 40, nearly £50 already. Wow.
That's about, what, 20 minutes?
Yeah. We'll go in 5.
Okay.
Lovely. Thank you, everyone who has donated. You are fantastic. We love you. There is no pressure. So the fact that you do that is amazing, and it keeps us going. So it's all your fault. There's not a huge amount of news this week, unsurprisingly, given that we are getting closer and closer to the festive season, of which Ty is a huge fan, and I'm not. Boo. We will cover a few little things that kind of happened this week, a few little burbles on the music technology telegraph wire, whatever you want to call it. But we can just casually sort of chat, and of course, if anybody in the chat wants to, contribute, then please do. Thank you, Mr. David Ramirez, for your donation. Thank you ever so much. Really appreciate it. That was a tube station in your picture there. Looks a bit like a tube station. Yeah, I don't know, maybe. But yes, thank you ever so much. Really appreciate that. Let's see. We've actually got a special announcement to make at 8 o'clock. We are embargoed until 8 p.m, but we have been asked to make people aware of something that's happening at 8 o'clock. So do stick around for at least that bit if you can. But I'll tell you what we'll do. Well, let's talk about this one first. Okay. So this is Roland. And they have now released. There's nothing new per se. They've just basically packaged up their drum machines, and if you want to buy them now instead of subscribe, you can do in one large package. There you go. So you can purchase these now for $499 of your US dollars and I guess euros and pounds as well. So they're available now, all 5 of those. So that's the 808, 909, 606, 707 and the 727, which very appropriately was the amount of donation from Mr. Adamski A. Very appropriate 727. Thank you ever so much for that. And thank you to Carl as well. Thanks for keeping him sane. Our pleasure. I don't quite know how we've managed to do that with the stuff that we do.
Normally the opposite, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But thank you, and I'm glad to have been of service. He's looking a bit brighter there. Right, so Roland, drum machines now available to buy. You don't have to subscribe. Are software drum machines worth it? Because isn't a drum machine all about the bashing of the buttons and the twiddling of the knobs? It's truly an interactive thing. And
can I just say I just did not hear a single word the last 3 minutes because I've been too busy faffing around my phone just to turn that light off. What have Roland done?
They've released their 5 software drum machines for sale as a package for $499. Rather than you having to subscribe monthly to Roland Cloud, you can just now buy lifetime licenses to this package, and you'll
What, for $499?
For $499.
£4.99.
$499 of your US dollars.
So $500 to have 5 software drum machines.
Yep, for life. Upgraded.
Wait for it.
A survey said.
Yeah, I need that sound on here, don't I?
Yeah.
Your survey said.
What a wanker.
Yeah. What a wanker.
Do you know what? I mean, the idea of it is fine, but I mean, realistically, 500 is too much. It's too much. I don't care what anyone says. It's too much for 5 drum machines. Simple as that. Because I think they've taken their eye off the ball in terms of competitors, who there are so many variations on 909s and 808s and whatever out there. The only ones that people are really bothered about, they're already out there. There's the who do the D16? Their drum machines.
Yes,
they're fantastic, and they're like when they're in the sale, they're like $29 or something, and they're for life. And also in terms of drum machines, there's I'm not being funny, but all of those drum machines, they're great, but they've kind of, I don't want to say had their day, but people want them to be variations on now rather than just an 808 or just a 909.
Yes.
And so 500 is just it's just too much. And as you say, for software drum machines are almost the worst of the worst, because software instruments, you can almost see some value in them and you can work on them in terms of user interface. But every time I've used a software drum machine with trying to replicate the grid and I just kind of just drives me mad. And so as you say, drum machines are all about hitting them, and
they are they're more more of a hands-on experience than with a synthesizer.
Or someone's just said in the chat room, just buy a TR8S.
Indeed,
that's it. I mean, I'm not being funny. Buy a TR8S and you can get whatever you want out of it. Oh my god! I mean, that's so. What annoys me about it is the fact that 500 is so wide of the mark. It's not even a bit expensive. It's not even a bit too much. 500 is just well wide of the mark. Yeah,
I mean, in their defence, not that I'm here to defend them, but each of those drum machines does offer integration with the TR8S. So you can control them in real time. So if you have a TR8S, you can control the software. But if you have a TR8S, do you need the software?
No, you don't. The only thing is that you can obviously... Well, I was going to say you can only use them one at a time, but that's not... I mean, the TR8S, I'm sure you can... It's not like the TR8, where you literally did have access to one drum machine at a time. I mean, the TR8S, I think you can have access to at least sounds from different banks and things.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand why you'd want to integrate software with a TR8S if you've got... Yeah, don't get that one.
No, it isn't.
Sorry.
No. I mean, I'm a Roland Cloud subscriber, so I've had access to these for a while, and I do often, like you say, I load them up and think, why have I just loaded a plugin up when I've got... I mean, I can access these sounds pretty much anywhere I want. and when I want to access them, I want to have a proper hands-on experience with the drum machine. So I all my lifetime keys on the Roland Cloud, only one of them has a drum machine. That's the 808, because I'm even thinking about swapping that one out, because why do I don't know we need it. What do you reckon, Kent?
Well, I would have thought, actually, even if you went around and bought a second-hand TR8 and a little Behringer 303 and a few bits and bobs, you could probably actually have the hardware for less than these cost, which is saying something. It's normally should be the other way around, shouldn't it? Shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Say yes.
It's not like you can't buy a drum machine these days, a proper physical or machine that does. I mean, even like I'm looking at the sample track at the moment, and I can just load up a bank of I can just stick onto the SD card 808 samples, 909 samples, 606, and so on and so forth, and then I've got them here with actual touch sensitive rubber pads that I can stick through filters and stuff, and it's all done in the box, and I don't need to go to a piece of software.
I mean, it would be an ingenious way to make Roland Cloud look like value for money.
Maybe that's what it is, because they did this before with 5 of the analog polysynths.
Yeah.
So the 106 and the 60 Junos, the Jupiter 8, Jupiter 4, and something else. I can't remember what it was now. But yeah, they did that package, and I guess I don't know whether that's just to appease people that just want access to these but don't want to subscribe. But as lots of people, I mean, I put the article up on Gear News this week, and like every single comment is 500 quid for that. No. So I can't see this
but
one.
again, I have to ask. I mean, you do have to ask, how can they get it so wide of the mark? That's what I don't get. For if they want to turn around and put this out as a bundle, I think that's a great idea. That's not a bad idea to do. If people just want drum machines and they do want them, I mean, I don't subscribe to the cloud thing, because I've had this conversation. I don't like the way the Roland sound, the cloud thing. I don't like subscription, end of story. But I don't like the way that works. So, but if you're gonna do it, that's fine. But it's so wide of the mark. I just 500. I mean, I just don't understand who would spend 500.
Well, they're justifying it to a degree by saying if you bought these individually as lifetime keys, they're 150 each. So you're going to save yourself 250 just by buying the package.
I just think they've just kind of. I think these. I love. I've had this conversation before. I love Roland. I think Roland are a great company. I don't care what anyone says. I think they are a great company, and they do some amazing gear. But at the same time, they just every now and again they just come up with something that you literally just have to just sit back and go, what? I mean, how could you get that so wrong? Not just with software, with hardware as well. They'll be on a roll and it'll all be going well, and then they'll just throw something into the equation that's just like, what the? Where did that come from? And I just think, this is just one of those. I just don't get. If I'm missing something, hands up. But I mean,
if you think about it, you can subscribe to the Roland Cloud at the ultimate level, and especially now, I think, when they're doing that offer, Play for Life, where you get 2 licenses every year that you're a Play for Life member. Now, it's about 189 quid. So let's say it's $200 a year. If you're going to throw 500 quid at these drum machines, that's 2.5 years Roland Cloud access that will get you 5 lifetime licenses of your choice, and you could then have those. But you can have access to everything for 2.5 years and still walk away with 5 drum machines if you wanted to, or you could have 5 synthesizers or a combination thereof. The economics is just unsound. It's weird.
Unless the idea is to pull you into the cloud.
Unless, of course, it is that. Yeah, maybe people think 500 quid. Oh, well, what's this cloud all about? And maybe that's what it is.
Really, that's one way of.
Well,
oh God.
Well, we're trying to figure it out, but yeah, it's a weird one. No,
I won't be buying them, just in case I didn't make that clear. I won't on this occasion be buying them.
Really?
Just in case. I just thought, to clarify. Yeah. Okay.
I have to say that they're the least used instruments in Roland Cloud for me. the synthesizers are great, and I use them a lot, but the drum machines not so much.
But I'm going to openly say, if you want that kind of stuff and you don't want to spend 500, go and look at the D16 libraries.
Yeah, they are.
Because they're quite old now, but they're great. They sound really good. They don't sound exactly like an 808 or exactly like a 909, but they're really well worthwhile. And it's not samples. It's all synthesized. So
yeah, cool stuff. Excellent. Well, there you go. That's Roland Cloud, or should I say Roland drum machines for £500 or dollars. Let's see. There was another software instrument that came out. I actually quite like this one, I have to say. Arturia have just released their 4th iteration of Pigments, or Piglets, as some people affectionately know it. Let's just see what that's all about by playing the intro video. There we go. Pigments 4 is out now. It costs a mere 99 euros or dollars at the moment, normally 199. However, if you picked up Pigments 3.5 in the Black Friday sales, I think they were knocking that out for 50 quid or something. It was less than 100. You get this now as a free update. In fact, all Pigments users get this as a completely free update. If you want to buy it, it's 99. There are some new patch libraries that are coming with it. So if you are an owner already, you just pay 20 quid for those. Or if you're brand new to the thing, you can buy the instrument and get those thrown in for free. I love Pigments because it's a very visual synthesizer, very visual interface. The colors and the animations and everything are all relevant. They're not just pretty to look at. They serve a purpose. The multiple engines, you've got these 2 engines with you can either have granular sampling, harmonics, virtual analog, and wavetables, and you can combine those with all sorts of different things. This new version adds in a whole bunch of stuff. There's a new play mode, so if you just want to, if you're, say, maybe in the performance environment, you don't want all of the gubbins, just the main stuff, you can put it into play mode. You can swap it between dark and light screen. So I always prefer the darker screens. What else? There's new effects. There's a shimmer effect in there. New shimmer effect. There's new wavetables and harmonics to play around with. Lots of different modulation. The modulation is actually a lot easier now. It's literally drag and drop. What do you want to modulate? You pick that up, drop it onto the modulator, and it just does that for you. And it's very, very simple to get around. I'm a big fan of this. I've had it since version 1, and this is definitely a big improvement. And of course, it was a free update, which you can't sniff at. Is this something in your Sonic Armory, Mr. Unwin?
Yep. But I'm embarrassed to say that I used Pigments a fair amount, actually. Not, yeah. But I really should have my wrist slapped because I've used it more as a preset machine rather than anything else, just tweaking.
It does come with a ton of them,
well, the thing is, but it's. I think the sad part about it is if ever there was a soft synth that really wants you to get dirty and kind of get your hands dirty and really get in there and start messing around, it's this. It's that kind of like Absinthe. It's that kind of synth where you can just go really deep and do some incredibly interesting and wonderful things. And honestly, I haven't had the time to go down and do that. So I've used it a fair amount, but I've literally been preset browsing and tweaking, which on an instrument like this is it's quite sacrilegious, really. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's not, but it sounds great. I
Yeah.
love, I think it's got a really, you can get some incredible patches out of it. It's a really, really good synth. And as you say, at the moment, the price they were knocking it out with, especially over Black Friday and then the updates, it's an absolute bargain.
Yeah.
But 99 quid now, it's, if you've never touched it, it's really good. It is really good value. It's a proper serious synth that a good sign is the fact that it's actually difficult to make it sound bad, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's one of those synths where it's just it just sounds great all the time.
Yeah.
And the whole update thing, I mean, they could have charged for this update. And sometimes I give Arturia a bit of a hard time. Sometimes it's because some of their update policies when it comes to the collections are questionable.
Mm-hmm.
But then they do something like this, and they've got it right. This is how it should be done, really.
Yeah.
So big thumbs up.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I like the fact that they are insistent on keeping this as a standalone synthesizer. It's not part of V Collection. It sits there in its own right as a completely original and incredibly powerful instrument that is now MPE compatible as well. So even more nuance can be put into it. NKS compatible too. 1,500 presets out of the bag, as you say. I mean, it's one of those synths that you rarely need to sort of venture out, but you can, of course, if you want to.
Mm-hmm. But you should, to be fair. I mean,
yes,
yeah,
it is.
You should.
It is so because it is so easy to do this. It's so visual. The way that they've got every kind of major element, modulation, graphically interpreted. That we think you listen to a patch, maybe you call up a preset and you think that sounds great, but how is it doing that? And you kind of think about it in your head, and you might kind of get there. Now you see there it is. It's that's what's making that's the modulation that I'm hearing, or that's the impact.
The thing is, the great thing about it is that they've used a computer UI as a computer UI. The problem is with a lot of soft synths, because they're trying to emulate or they want to make you feel at home. In other words, they make it look like a traditional synth.
Yeah.
So what you can't see on those kind of UIs is you can't really see what's going on in the background. You can't see what's going on behind the scenes with all the links and all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But what's great about this is that this as a UI has been designed from scratch, from day one, that this is never going to be a hardware synth. This is only ever going to exist on a screen, and they've just made the UI just as obvious and as visually simple as possible, with an incredibly sophisticated synth engine. But as you say, because they just use color in a way that a lot of companies don't really. So it's not difficult to get into. Absolutely not.
No, and it's a silly price. I mean, for even if you don't have it, €99, $99, the bang for buck is huge on this one. Do you have this one, Ken? Are you a Pigments user?
It's funny, I was just thinking while you were talking about it. I don't know.
It's the colourful one, Kent. It's the one with all the pretty colours on.
Yeah, but there was.
Do you remember?
No, I don't. I can't remember if I've got this or not.
Oh dear.
I think I might have.
I think you'd actually really enjoy it.
Did it come with complete collection?
No. That's the thing. It's always a standalone.
Right,
No.
okay then. So it would have been bought. I don't know. I don't know if I have it or not. I'd actually ask to fire up Cubase and have a look and go, oh, there it is. So I honestly don't know if I own it or not.
I don't know. But I think you'd love it, personally. It really does. It draws you in with its very inviting, and it doesn't scare you off. You think it would. Some of the stuff that you hear coming out of it, you think, wow, that's got to be really complex. And it now comes with built-in tutorials in the app, itself. So if you want to learn how to use it, you can, and they'll teach you how to use it within the plugin, which again is something that Arturia have been doing more and more of with all of their software synthesizers, which I think is very admirable and commendable. It is a little CPU heavy, not awfully so, and particularly, I tried it on my M1 MacBook Pro, and it barely broke a sweat. But even on my old iMac, I had to really push it hard for it to sort of start eating a lot of CPU. Obviously, you haven't used it in a massive kind of multi-instrument production. That might make a slight difference, but So you do need something with a bit of oomph, I would have thought. But yeah, I mean, it was minimum spec on this, or minimum requirements. What are we? Windows 10, Mac 1013, 4 gig of RAM, 4-core CPU, 3.4 or above. Of course, with M1, it just says M1. You'll be fine. So yeah. And so it does come with these 3 new engines called wavelengths. Libraries called wavelengths, each with 150 sounds in them each. There's a cinematic, there's a neuro bass, whatever that is, and there's lo-fi, which seems to be the term du jour once again. But yeah, utterly brilliant synthesizer for next to no money. If you're looking to spend some Christmas pennies, I think this offer goes on till early January. So if Santa brings you some cash over Christmas and you're looking for something new, I would definitely give this a look. And there's also a free demo. So if you are on the fence and you want to try it out, you can do. And that's available at arturia.com. Thank you, Mr. Brooks, for posting the link in the chat. So yeah, there you go. That's Pigments 4 out now. What else have we got? Akai. They've released a couple of new little controllers. But I did think about should we put these in here, because I'm no expert. I don't use Live, and these are 2 APC controllers. There's the APC Mini, and then there's a keyboard version as well, which are these very affordable, very colourful, and very practical controllers if you are a Live user. And these are small miniature versions of them. As you can see, that's about the same size as a laptop. But other than that, they're just kind of basic controllers for Live, and if you don't use Live, then these are of absolutely no interest to you.
Oh my god, look at us 3 all just looking at it going,
pretty colours.
Nice.
Hang on a minute, I've just got to let my cat out. She decided to take up residence by the fairlight. Hang on a sec.
I thought this was a euphemism.
I got one of these.
No, I don't. You haven't. You've got the 40. Have you got the APC 40?
Something like that.
I think you've got. Yeah, I think that's what you've got.
But it was a generalised controller, yeah.
No, it was an APC 40.
Yeah,
but it was made for that was made for Live, but you could use it with other things. I think that's why you bought it. I remember us having a conversation about this a while ago, with me going, "Why the hell have you got that?" and you vaguely explaining it to me, and I still didn't know why you had it. To be fair, but I remember you having one.
Yeah, but that happens once a week at least, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Those conversations. Why the hell have you bought?
Why have you bought that?
Well, because I saw it.
Yeah.
And it had pretty lights.
Yeah.
I was actually going to say to anyone in the chat, if you are a Live user, do APCs do it for you? Are you a fan, a user? Matt, before I prompted, said, I use Live and I'm not interested. So, yeah. It's odd.
I think the thing is, to be fair, it's difficult, because if you use Live and you want to do it properly, then you just get, I've got a push 2. And I occasionally use Live. But kind of push 2 is kind of do you know what I mean? It's like, that's the kind of de rigueur. If you're going to do it, you get a push 2. And so whatever these, because they're doing them for a price, they're trying to do something which other stuff just does better, but it's more expensive. Yeah. And if people can't afford it, then at least it gives them some kind of hardware access for triggering clips and whatever. But
because weren't Akai like the first company to come up with a Live dedicated Live controller?
Well, that's what we were just saying. I think it was the 40 APC 40.
They
came
something like that. Yeah.
And they're the ones that really did it, along with obviously the push. But I mean, it's not for me. It's obviously not for Kent, and it's obviously not for you.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I was in the market, these might be interesting. This is the other one that they do, is the Key 25, which reduces the number of pads and gives you a keyboard instead. Again,
I mean, I've got one of the I've got the normal keyboard version of that, and it's great. It's great for what it is, but again, I don't know. I'm just thinking. I'm just looking at that though, because I know how big those keys are. So therefore I'm working out how big that physically keyboard is. So I'm working out how small those buttons are for the grid.
There you go. That gets you. Yeah, fingers.
Yeah, I have a feeling that that's actually a man with very small hands. I think that's like one of those adverts for in Amazon where you see the kids in the swimming pool, and they make the swimming pool look like it's about 40 foot square, and it's actually just the fact that they've taken some pictures of kids and shrunk them down to the size of a small, And when you get the pool, it's literally 4 foot by 4 foot. So I think that hand may have been slightly squidged. Donald Trump. Or it's Donald Trump or Jeremy Beadle. It's one of those two.
It's one of them.
The young kids won't get that one.
Oh, no, of course not. No, sorry. Yeah.
And it's not Alex Brooker because it's too many fingers.
Oh.
Dear, oh dear. Oh.
Bum bum.
But,
Moving on,
yes. Akai, there we go. APC Key 25 Mark II and the APC Mini Mark II are available now from all good Akai dealers and some bad ones as well, I would imagine. So yeah, we're blazing through content here. It's only 7:45. I did want to spend some time. Let's do the proverbial poop sandwich. We've had some interesting stuff. Let's do some sad stuff, and then we'll do some more interesting stuff in a little bit later on. So we lost a very great composer over the last few days, and I was always a big fan, particularly of his work with Pet Shop Boys. That's where I guess that and Twin Peaks was where I first really became aware of Angelo Badalamenti. But Angelo sadly passed away just the other day, and has left behind a very rich legacy of dreamlike, very evocative, emotional scores. And say, if you're a Pet Shop Boys fan, then you would have absolutely have known his arrangements that he did, not just for It Couldn't Happen Here, which was on the second Pet Shop Boys album, but he went on to do other arrangements right up until sort of recently. So that they always had a very, very good working relationship. But of course, most popular for his theme score for Twin Peaks, which was just amazing, just superb. So I just thought, well, seeing as we have a wonderful composer in our ranks, Kent, what did you think?
What?
Of Angelo Badalamenti. So I was just being facetious.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But no, seriously though, you both of you. I mean, you're both.
Mate, I don't know who the bloke is in the bottom screen.
Oh, him, yeah.
Neither do I.
So were you aware of Badalamenti's work?
It's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those things where you're actually aware of the work, but you're not necessarily aware of the person.
Yeah, i.e., perfect. Yeah, the perfect composer. Yeah, does his job, no glory, no crap, just gets on, does it.
Yeah.
Does it for the right reasons. No one has a clue who he is, and he's more than happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to be fair, and to be fair, I think kind of people. I mean, people like Hans and whatever. I'm sure that if they had the opportunity, they would want to be in that position as well. Kind of it's then you don't do a job like that for anything other than doing it for the right reasons, and the right reasons are just making the music as good as you possibly can, and it's nothing about fame and glory, and he was very much in that bag. I mean, sorry, I've interrupted from you, Kent, because you're in the middle.
No, that's all right. No, that's cool.
I mean, from my point of view, I'll be honest with you, I knew the popular stuff, the famous stuff, but he wasn't someone that was that much on my radar. Only because, I mean, I've said this to you before, I don't really listen to much in terms of other film scores or TV scores or whatever. I don't really listen to that much, because my argument is always the fact that the more you listen to, the more you get influenced by, and the more therefore you take on board. And so, I mean, I've got a friend who knows everything by every film composer, knows everything about them, and just listens to it constantly. But then I always just think, yeah, but when you then listen to his work is basically completely influenced by everything he loves about every composer. So I've almost kind of deliberately not entered that world of listening to TV and film composers, just because it's my job. I just don't want to be that influenced by. But at the same time, what I do know by him, I love the simplicity of what he does. He has an amazing way with of taking quite simple harmony and with interesting inversions, beautiful passing notes that essentially you could turn around and say a lot of the time are wrong notes, but they're not. They're just beautiful passing notes, and a lot of them that never quite resolve. And he basically very much had his own harmonic language, and that's what I get off on. I mean, for me, anyone that has developed their own harmonic language is great, because this. I mean, we have to face facts here. And I'm sure I'm guilty of it as well. But the world of TV and film music is full of a lot of crap. And when I say crap, I just mean it's just very generic. It's like the whole, as an example, the whole trailer music scene. I mean, you hear the same sounds in the same way and the same chords and the same trailer crap. And there's a movement of in film music where there's a lot of the same kind of stuff that you just hear again and again. It's just very cheap copies of Hans, or cheap copies of John Williams, or cheap copies of and so what was great about kind of here, that wasn't the case. It was a case of he followed his own language, and he was himself. And from a compositional point of view, you can't ask for any more than someone who's doing what they want to do and doing it themselves, and being themselves. And he very much fell into that category. So.
There's a clip that I'm sure is on YouTube somewhere, and I can't remember whether it was a documentary about David Lynch or a documentary about Twin Peaks specifically, or a documentary about Badalamenti. I think it might have been something like Imagine on BBC One, the Alan Yentob thing. It might have been that, and he talked about how he came up with
it's amazing,
that Laura's theme.
The theme, it's incredible.
And he's just sat at his Rhodes piano, which I think is probably one of his favourite instruments, and he was just talking. I mean, just the way he described that moment with Lynch and how he just came up with that, and Lynch is like, that, do more of that, and then Lynch starts describing the scene in words. This is the camera's going to do this, and so Badalamenti's like, okay, so and then literally writing the score to picture, but in just words. It was just fascinating to watch. And I remember when that first came out, that is it Laura Palmer's theme, I think is the full name. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure. Because Twin Peaks was just this weird, amazing, bizarre, thought-provoking thing, but the music was so important. I mean, it always is, and sometimes it's done well, and it makes it even more so, and sometimes not so much. But it was it was a character in its own right. It didn't overwhelm the visuals. It supported them, it enhanced them. Without it, the visuals would have been even more bizarre, in the Lynchian world. It really was this massively important thing. And then, as a Pet Shop Boys fan, knowing and understanding those arrangements that he did with them, and you could hear that, especially with It Couldn't Happen Here, because that is such an amazing composition, because it's Neil and Chris with Ennio Morricone that did the original composition. Then Badalamenti did the arrangement. And the story is that they did everything. They did the composition. I think Ennio sent them. They wanted to work with Ennio a little bit before that. Didn't work out. Then Ennio sent them something which I think is mostly the chorus of It Couldn't Happen Here. And then they did the stuff around that, sent it back, and back and forth. And they got this thing. And then they got Badalamenti to arrange it. They went into the studio, and Stephen Hague had messed up and not booked an orchestra to do all of that, because it was all going to be, just drum machine and strings orchestra. They had a week, I think, before they had to hand the album in. So they got Blue Weaver with a Series 3 Fairlight and did everything on the Series 3. And they said, that's it, that's perfect. We don't need an orchestra, and that's what they put to tape. They had to compile 3 sequences of different instruments, and then do them in one at a time, then synchronize them all up. And I've actually got those on the Series 3s that we have here. But when I go out to shows, I generally pick the most obvious one and play that, but it's obviously missing the other 2, because you need 3 Fairlights to play them all back in one go, or 2, strip it all out, as somebody has done on YouTube. I think I posted the link in the Facebook page, and put it all together, and it's just the whole track is Fairlight, and it's an amazing advert for that machine, as well as the writing and the compositional skills. And I'd love to play it on here, but we'd get a massive copyright strike, so I'm not going to do that. But you can go and seek it out. Estuary Mists is the YouTuber that has got a Fairlight and output all 3 sequences, then reassemble them in Cubase. And it's the only thing that's missing is Neil's voice. It's an amazing stuff. So yeah, another unfortunate loss this week was the great Herb Deutsch, who passed away at a ripe old age. Put that out there. But he was, in every sense, as it says here, he was a synth pioneer. I know Mark Doty gets very upset because that term is bandied around a lot, and to people that probably not necessarily don't deserve it, but don't fit the bill as accurately as somebody like Herb Deutsch. So he's now passed on, along with his co-collaborator, of course, Dr. Bob Moog. Another great loss. Any thoughts on Herb Deutsch? I mean, he was a lovely guy by all accounts. I never met him, but every time I've ever seen anything on YouTube, he was the most gentle and well-spoken and intelligent man. Anyone got anything to say? Any words about Herb?
I've apart from I think I'm just like everybody else. I've seen so many. Every time I've seen a documentary, synth documentary, or history of electronic music, he's always popped up somewhere. But that's literally my vast knowledge of him and his work is literally him just popping up on these documentaries. Or I've seen him, kind of. I mean, years ago he'd be at I think I saw some trade shows or something, and all I can say is exactly the same as you. Every time you see an interview with him, he seems like the nicest guy, but I have no knowledge other than that. But the reality is, kind of all of those pioneers, sorry Mark, from back in the day, it's just got to the stage now where they are. I mean, I'm not being funny. There's not many left. There really isn't many left. Because, kind of, you got to think of the time we're talking about with him. We're talking about 60s. We're not even talking about, the 70s. So it's, they're going to they're either gone or about to go. And I think it's just, it's very sad, but how it's going to be.
He was a professor of music at Hofstra University for 57 years.
Wow.
57
God.
Years. Yeah.
I'd like to see how big the watch was he got when he left.
He founded the jazz ensemble there, the Electronic Music Studios, the New Music Ensemble, and created the BS degree programs in jazz composition theory and music business. I mean, he wasn't just...
Do you know this off the top of your head, or
no? I'm reading this.
That.
I'm reading this.
Surely not.
Yeah. Not very. See, this is why I left you on screen, because I'm like this. There is a wonderful thing, which I guess was probably one of the last interviews done with him, that was on the Moog Music YouTube channel, so Moog Music Inc. or whatever they're called. Did a series of videos with individuals, and he was the first, quite rightly, I think. And it's only about 25 minutes long, but it really does give you the measure of the man. Within like the first 5 minutes, he says lots of people call me this, and he said I'm just so fortunate to have been in the right place at the right time with the right people doing these things, and he feels that it's an incredible honor. He was so humble, so humble.
That's great. And do you know what?
Yeah.
But though that's how life is.
Yeah.
He's absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's the same for anyone that has that much of an impact in a kind of background role.
Yeah.
It's been in the right place, and I'm not being. I've said this some time and time before. It's they're the people that are the most humble tend to be the ones that have the most influence and are the better human beings, shall we say?
Absolutely.
So
yeah,
sad
Herb
loss.
Deutsch, sad loss. But what a legacy, and I'm sure that his legacy will live on as all of those great humble people do. You know, the Bob Mogs, the Alan R. Perlmans, the Tom. Sorry, the Tom. Oh God, I'm killing him off before too. The Dave
God,
Smiths.
don't do that.
No, do you know? Oh God, if I wake up tomorrow morning to the new. Oh my God. Yes, right. So. Take it all back. Yes, sad loss, and of course Angelo Badalamenti. And if you are not familiar with Angelo's work, then I suggest you go out and find some, because it really is incredibly good. And you'll go, "Oh, I've heard that. I didn't realise it was him." There's a lot of that about. So yeah, great stuff. Now, the time has just ticked to 8 o'clock, which means that I suppose not exclusive, but the embargoed news. Oh, yes, it's here. Right, okay. Look at that. Bang on time as well. Very professional, not. Right. I'll let the video do the talking, and then we can talk about this afterwards. So, it would help if I chose the actual right thing to share. All this build-up, and then the presenter, who, you know, especially when Ty Unwin's on, who says I should go to broadcaster's school. This is news from GPU Audio, and it's basically now that the GPU Audio stuff is now coming out for Mac. So there you go. It's now available for M1 and M2 Macs. So I should be trying this on my Mac later on, maybe at the weekend. Now, we had these guys on a little while back, and before I do anything else, I'm going to pop this onto the screen. You can go and grab their GPU Beta plugin suite at that address, gpu.audio/ProSynth Network. And the plugin suite at the moment is Windows only, but that's coming to Mac early next year. But right now, it's the FIR Convolver, which was their first early access plugin. Of course, this is all completely free, with the caveat that this is all beta, and you know there might be bugs, probably will be bugs, but they would appreciate it if you told them about it. They're being very open about the whole thing. Now, let me just bring this up on screen, and then I've got a press release that I can read from, because I didn't swat it up and stick it in the memory banks. So, early access to the M1 and M2 versions of these plugins. GPU Audio has arrived on macOS. By far the biggest request they've had this year is for Apple support, and they're pleased to announce that the day has arrived. macOS users now have access to the FIR Convolution Reverb, an early access plugin which uses impulse responses to accurately replicate the tonal reflections and sonic characteristics of any acoustic space. You can get it for free. We'll put the link up in just a moment. So they've been using GPU. This is the whole thing with these guys. They've been using GPU processing power to take the load off the CPUs and give you much more grunt for not a lot of extra cash. Hopefully, you know, if you've got the relevant hardware. If you have an Apple M1 and M2 device, you can now benefit from this too. There is a software development kit for third-party developers, but this is a bit of a milestone moment, because they have been promising this for a while. It is now here. So all you got to do is go to www.gpu.audio/early access, and you can download that in both Windows and Mac form. The FIR Convolution Reverb is currently the only thing that's available on the Mac, but others will follow. So I've not been able to test this or play with this at all because I don't have a Windows machine to do that on. Ty, have you had a chance to play around with these? Do you have any thoughts on using the GPU for processing within?
I'm going to sit here and completely hold my hands up here. And I mean, if you want me to just talk some generic rubbish and make it look like I really know what I'm talking about here, I'm happy to do so. But
how would we
having
tell?
just said that, I was going to say, having just said that, I think that's probably a bad move. Look, the reality is, the moment this got announced, like the opening gambit was, this only works on Windows.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, it is literally just a case of now, if anything just only works on Windows, I literally just go into shutdown mode and I have no interest. No, genuinely, I have no interest whatsoever because I've got rid of all of my Windows machine. I haven't had a Windows machine now for years, and I have no interest in ever switching another one on, ever. And so literally anything that's just Windows, I switch off. So the moment that this GPU stuff was Windows, it's just like, okay, I have no interest, and it's gone. And I haven't seen the show when they were on, and so I'm sitting here going, obviously it uses computing power from a different part of the machine, and obviously therefore it saves the CPU, but because of the machines I've got, CPU is never ever an issue. And so I'm embarrassed to say, I personally I kind of don't really get this and understand it, see how it would be beneficial for me. But I'm sure that but instead I do have to then turn around and go, but on an M1 machine or an M2 machine, they're not exactly lacking grunt.
Exactly, yeah.
And so if you've got an M1 or especially an M2 machine, what on earth are you having to run it to go, oh no, we need to save power with the CPU because, we're not going to have enough. What are you doing on it?
Yeah.
Or again, if I'm missing something huge here, if there's people in the chat room turning around and going, stop being a twat, do you not realize blah, blah, blah? Well, unfortunately, no, I don't realise. And this could be one of those moments where there's people in the Mac world going, oh my God, this is the second coming. This is incredible. This is amazing. This is going to change the world forever. And I'm just sitting there dissing it going, you're not, Jesus, you're just a very naughty boy. And I just, So for me, I am literally, I don't know anything about this, but all I heard was there's a convolution reverb available, which is free, which is great, but I have plenty of convolution reverbs, and I've not really any interest in this. But if this is very exciting and very important, then I will happily put on my very excited and very important face.
Steve Elbows in the chat said what interests him is if in the future via the SDK people come up with brand new things that can't be done with current CPU grunt. So no,
absolutely,
absolutely, there is that. And
but I do have to say, if you want a convolution reverb on an M1 or an M2, an M1 or an M2 can quite happily run a whole load of these without even breaking a sweat.
Exactly. Yeah. But at least now it does have Mac support. It was always, so it was just Windows before. So I love talking to these guys. They're very clever guys. They've got AMD on board. And NVIDIA on board as well. They're very interested in what they're able to do with the GPUs. And, I'm sure people will benefit from it. And like you say, with a Mac, maybe not so much, but
can I just ask in a really basic, because I'm being totally serious and totally genuine here. Where is the power from the GPU coming from then? What is the difference? What am I missing? What is...
essentially, and I'm hoping that I get this kind of right. It's using the processing cycles of the GPU, which is the CPU for the graphics card, rather than the central processing unit for the whole.
So it's
computer.
Using graphics card power.
It's using graphics card power to lighten the load on the CPU, so you can do other things with that as well. So it's an option. If if you're finding that your CPU is struggling, but you can't afford to upgrade the computer, but you have a compatible graphics card, then using these plugins will help you lighten the load on your main processor and let your graphics card, rather than just sit there not doing a huge amount,
So basically, it's something. The actual computing side of is something like a kind of essentially like UAD do, except obviously it's a graphics card
Yeah.
that's built into the machine.
Yeah.
It's just shifting some of the load to a different part
Yeah.
of the machine.
Utilising the power, because Kent will attest to this because he knows more about graphics cards than I do, that they are incredibly powerful things nowadays. They have to be to deliver the graphics on some of the games that you get on those platforms now. So it's.
But my argument would be, how does that then affect the graphic side of things?
Well, I would imagine
Because
not.
obviously,
Yeah, not massively. I mean, yes, obviously things like doors will use a certain amount of graphics power, but nowhere near as much as you might when you're playing something, of high intensity, frame rate on a PC or a Mac even. So I don't think it would be detrimental to the performance of the door and the rest of the computer if that's all you're doing. Of course, if you've got like an Unreal tournament going on the side as well as composing at the same time, then yes, you'll notice. But I mean, go back and check the episode out. The guys, and we'll probably have them back on again early next year because there's some news coming down the pipeline for early first couple of weeks in January. I can't say anything about it, but so we'll probably have these guys back on at some point. But it's well worth looking into, and they've Nvidia and AMD, who are very big in the graphics or the GPU world, are very on board with all of this. So there's clearly they can clearly see some benefits, and it's not just audio processing. I think they've got bigger plans as well for other things, but utilizing that sort of latent power that's there is what it's all about.
Great.
Yes. So I should be checking that one out. But that's GPU audio. The FIR convolution reverb is now available for M1 and M2 Macs. Nothing. So if you don't have one of those, don't bother trying it on an Intel Mac. It won't do anything. But of course, the GPUs on the M1s and the M2s are pretty potent as they are. So, that's available now. gpu.audio/early access. And, of course, the link has been going across. If you're interested in their larger suite of free beta plugins, but you're on a Windows machine, and go to that link. We don't actually get anything from that, by the way, just to point out. It's just so they know where the links are coming from. It's kind of just, So I guess it basically tells them who are the best places to talk to other people about it through. So we want to make sure that they come back to us. So there you go. What's that called? Full disclosure, I think.
Thank God you didn't have me on today then. Sorry, mate.
You're okay. Right, there we go. GPU audio. What should we do next? I don't think there's a huge amount we've done. Oh yes, no, we'll do. This is the last topic, and then we can sort of rattle on for the last sort of half hour of the show. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Who likes synth shows? Who likes going to events where synthesists can
That'd be
gather?
Kent.
Yeah.
That'd be Kent.
Oh yeah, me.
Yeah.
Ooh, me.
If we did like
I
a
like
Mr.
going.
T.
No, see, I like going. I just don't go.
Right.
Simple as that.
If we did a Mr. T on you, if we gave you some drugged milk.
Pity the fool that tries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ain't getting a damn plane. But if we did that, if we drugged you and
These are my
then
slippers.
transported you to an event and just
Yeah.
sat you in a cubicle in the corner where you could just like admire it, would that work?
No.
No.
What
okay.
you'd have is
How
somebody
about if
going,
we?
like that for
How
20
about?
minutes.
How about if we made the cubicle look exactly like your studio now? We just reconstructed your studio as the cubicle.
Well, as long as you can keep up the illusion, we'll be all right.
We
Well,
could
thank
do
God we haven't told you that's what we're going to do.
it in a
So
VR.
I wake up and go,
We could do it in a VR headset, couldn't we? Just like
Yeah.
yeah.
Make
You'd have
it
to
nice
bring-
and
you'd have to
small
bring
like
Noah
Geordie
as
the
well.
Forge. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we could do
You
that.
have to bring studio dog.
Of course, yeah. Keep your feet warm. Anyway, look, I like going to shows.
That was a mistake.
And there's another one, and it's happening in my neck of the woods, and it's called
dear.
it's called Synth East, because that's where I live, in the east of the country. This is organised and it's the brainchild of Robin Vincent. who is also located in this part of the world and has a fantastic YouTube channel. Is one of my colleagues over on Gear News as well, and he's enlisted the support of Electronic Sound magazine, which is also strangely enough based in Norwich, live from Norwich, and in March, I think it's the 3rd or the 4th of March, they'll be taking over the Norwich Arts Centre, which is one of many converted churches in the city centre. It's a nice space, and there's going to be exhibitors, artists, as you might have just seen there. Gaz is going, Gaz Williams. Steve Davis will be there, and him and Robin are going to be doing something together. Lots of other artists are signing up. I plan to be there with something large and heat generating, whether it's a Fairlight or maybe the DX1. Haven't decided yet. Probably the DX1 because it's easier to transport if Kent will allow me to move it over there. And there's like a big show during the day, and then in the evening there's going to be some live performances on the stage, and of course that one with Steve Davis. They're going to do this modular patch off, whatever that is, because I don't really do modular. But yeah, all set up in Norwich on March the 4th, I want to say. Is that March the 4th?
If you want to say it.
Okay, yeah, March 4th. It's that first weekend in March. Anyway, so yeah, and then there's also, outside of the main hall, there's like some different levels, like there's a bar and stuff, and there's going to be other people in there doing performances or selling stuff. It's really, really cool, and it's happening right here in the middle of East Anglia, which is not known really outside of like myself and Robin for being that way inclined. Can we expect to maybe see a Mr. Unwin there at all? Fancy coming to Norwich for the weekend?
Norwich, do you know what? I quite like Norwich. I think I told you I used to live over that way many moons ago, and I like Norwich. Norwich is a nice place, and
they've got a lovely house brick museum.
Have they?
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah. Wow. But yeah, I mean, it kind of obviously all just depends. But I think any kind of synth show is. It's great. It really is. It really is great. Bearing in mind, I mean, I think sometimes we kind of presume that I don't want to use the word community because that's sometimes. But the synth nerdy community, we think it's bigger than it actually is. But the reality is, it's not a huge community. And anything that to do a show like this and bring everyone together is amazing. It's brilliant. And if Gaz is there, and I know Gaz has a really amazing relationship with Steve.
Yes.
And if they're there, it's going to be a bundle of laughs, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm definitely not going to say that I'm not going to be there. That's for sure.
Yeah, it would be good to see you there.
To be fair, I'd be a bit of a grumpy gut to sit here and go, no, I'm not going to go. But no, it's
again, how would we do?
Lips are moving.
It is definitely 4th of March, by the way. I have confirmed that. Okay. Tickets are for the day event, so walking around the hall and seeing the exhibits and talking to people and all that. £6.50. And tickets for the evening...
that's ridiculous. That's great. That's brilliant.
And tickets for the evening event are also available for just a mere £12. But if you buy them together, $15 for the pair. So you do save a few quid for the whole day. Nick Colt Void will be playing. Gaz Williams, Steve Davis, Robin himself, other people. I think Andrew Brooks has said he's going to be taking part in the patch off, whatever that is.
Oh, okay. I'm less keen on going now.
Oh, he'll love you for that. And of course, Electronic Sound magazine are going to be there. They're sort of main sponsors of the show, and of course, they put out that wonderful monthly magazine that generally comes with if you subscribe, you get a 7-inch record in there as well, and. It's printed on that really lovely paper that you can just spend hours sniffing the pages of a music magazine.
Yeah, you're saying this out loud.
I just really did dawn on me there. Yeah,
this is broadcast.
Current confirmed exhibitors include ALM Busy Circuits, Blick and Synths, Expert Sleepers, Nobula, RYK Modular, and Thonk. I've just submitted my ProSynth Network application, So this is what I was saying earlier on, that if you want to buy this stuff in person and save some postage, we're planning to have a whole bunch of stuff made up, and we're going to take it to the show, so you can buy a t-shirt or a sweatshirt or a polo shirt, and bring one of those silver pens. I'll sign the damn thing for you if that makes it worth anything, which it probably won't. But we'll be selling those, and I'm going to be exhibiting something, and I want to do, because next year is the 40th anniversary of the launch of the DX7. So I'm kind of dedicating next year's exhibits and tours and seminars and all of that kind of stuff to the wonderful topic of Bing Bong Bells.
Let it go, Robbie.
Yeah.
Let it go.
I've never seen a 10-minute seminar before.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
You wait till you hear what we've got planned for
Wow.
for next year. There's I can't say anything.
DX7 year. Yay.
I can't say anything, but I'm going to be joined at some point next year by a very special guest here in the UK, and it will be a very good time. I'm getting very excited about it. So yes, DX7. Andrew says no, bring a Fairlight. No, you've seen the. I've had enough of Fairlights at the moment. So I'm just thinking, yeah, let's DX the hell up out of this place. So that's, yeah, I'll be there with something. But yeah, there's a nice little. It's a lovely little. It's a converted church. Great acoustics. So yeah, it's a lovely little place, and it's happening in Norwich. It's right in the centre of Norwich, and Synth East, 4th of March. Well done to Robin for organising that, and go and buy tickets. Buy both, you get a bit of a discount, so it's all cool. Excellent stuff. Right, do you know, that's it. There is no more news.
Bye.
We're sort of done there. Thank you, Steve Elbows, for your tenner. Can we get Ty to rave about his Osmos order and Kent to rave about the Roli Rise too? Well, I think that's worth £10 of anyone's money. First of all, Ty, you've got an Osmos on order, haven't you? Have you had your email?
I've had the email.
Do you have a date?
I've paid. No, I've paid the money.
Oh, you've paid for complete. Oh, that's good.
So I don't know. I mean, yeah, basically the email essentially says pay your money, and it says 5 to 10 days, but it doesn't say quite when they're shipping from. But it basically, it's imminent, I think is the word. And I generally am. It takes a lot to get me excited with gear these days, but I do genuinely think that it's one of the few things it's going to be worth waiting for.
Yeah.
Everything I've seen, all the updates, all the videos, it does make me moist in all the right places, and it's I think it's just I think it's going to be great. I hope it is, and I hope from their point of view, I hope it is as good as people want it to be. I can't see it not being. It's all going to be down to the build quality. Let's be honest about it, because anything that has the kind of action that's got, it's going to be a very specific action. It's got to be to do all the things that it does, and it's literally all going to be down to that. How does it feel? Does it feel right? Does it not feel right? And I don't even think there's a grey area with that. Do you know what I mean? I don't think. Yeah. It's like, I have to be honest with the Hydrasynth faction. I think the Hydrasynth faction it's okay. Mm-hmm. It's not the best action in the world, but it's okay. It's an okay action, and you put up with the okay action because it's got poly aftertouch. Whereas I think with the Osmos, it's either going to feel right or it's going to feel wrong. I mean, from what Gaz said, because Gaz played one. Where did he play one? I think it was over in Germany, wasn't it?
Yes, it was since Superbooth, wasn't it?
Yeah, Superbooth. He played one, and he said it felt really good. But Gaz, by his own admission, is not a synth. He's not a keyboard player. He's not really a synth player. I just hope it feels good, and if it does, yeah. But I am very excited to have it arrive.
Thighpaul Sandra in the chat, welcome. Good to have you here. Have you tried Egan Matrix programming yet?
No, I have not. And I know that it will get very nerdy, and I know that I will sit there with a lab coat on. And I will probably get very frustrated. But as I said, I think I said before, back in the day when I was at university, and I'm really ashamed. I can't remember what the program was, but these were the days when it's on a really early Mac machine.
Yeah.
And you used to, everything was basically just numbers and boxes, and you have to kind of there was nothing was real time.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to put in all your numbers, you had to work out all the codes, and then you pressed whatever it was to set it going, and you would come back 12, 18, 24 hours, and it would have produced the one sound, and it would go, and it was either crap or it was okay. And if it was crap, you used to go, oh, okay, and then put in a whole new load of buttons and then walk away and come back 12 hours later. So I'm used to very number based and very analytical ways of programming. But to be fair, that was 30 years ago. And now we're so used to real time that maybe numbers and boxes will frustrate the hell out of me, but we'll find out.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
But I'm not being funny. Even if it does end up a machine, like I've been saying, I've been using Pigments, which sounds great, but I've just been using lots of tweaking of presets. If it means that I use this and it has all the control that it has, but it just means that I'm tweaking presets, then as long as it's good, I don't have an issue with it. Yeah. It's not like the days there was a day gone by when I just didn't use presets, or we didn't have presets, and I would just sit for hours programming. I don't have the need to do that these days, for the simple reason that there are so many amazing people out there who spend their entire lifetime programming, and they can do it better than I can do it. So, but yeah. Anyway, yes, really looking forward to the Osmos, and more to the point, they've kept to their price promise.
That's good.
Which was they set the price back in 2019, and I'm not being funny, bearing in mind the circumstances in the world that's gone on. I was quite expecting them to turn around and go, sorry guys, we can't do it for the price that we promised back in 2019, but they have, and they've honoured all those people that dug in early, and it's now been 3 years. Almost, it's actually more than 3 years. I found my email. I think my email was, it was 21st of November 2019.
Wow.
It got announced at something like, it got announced at kind of 6 o'clock or something like that. No, it's 7 o'clock, because I was actually in a theatre waiting for a show, and I sat there on my phone, and it got announced, and I ordered it literally the minute it got announced. I just looked at it and I ordered it from my seat in the theatre. And I got that email. I looked at that email. So yes, more than 3 years. Wow. But they've honoured what they said they were going to do.
Well, that's good. Yeah, absolutely. I just hope that doesn't then come back to bite them on the arse, and they can't afford to maintain and carry on developing. But yeah,
fingers crossed.
Wonderful thing. I mean, I can't wait to actually see somebody using it, properly and getting some stuff. So we'll have to get you one when you get yours, maybe.
The moment it arrives. So
yeah, looks fantastic. Talking of odd MPE style controllers, of course, Mr. Kent Spong has been waiting for his Roli Rise 2 to materialise, and materialise it has. You've had about a week or so with it now.
Mm-hmm.
What are your first thoughts, early impressions? How does it stand up to the first Rise and the Grand that you recently acquired?
You can't really compare it to the Grand. The Grand's a different beast altogether.
Okay.
But in terms of the Rise 2 over the Rise 1, the Rise 2 is a lot better.
In what way?
Well, initially out of the box, it's an easier machine to play than the original Rise. The little the little raised bumps that they put on the top of the keys mean that you're going to hit the centre of the key first.
Right.
And it's only after you start pressing harder that you've got more leeway with that, so you can control how wobbly and out of tune it sounds. They've updated basically the weak points, which was the USB socket. They've made that USB 3. It can transmit 5-pin MIDI, DIN MIDI, and USB MIDI simultaneously to different locations. And it's just nice all round. Yes, you still need a PC to hand for the dashboard to program how you want it to respond. ahead of time, but it could have been done with being built in somehow, but
Mhm.
obviously not. So yeah, it's nice because it's beginning to look like a Roli showroom in here actually. 'Cause we've got like four different Rolis in here now. But I love them. Yeah, I really get on with them. And as soon as the people let me buy an Osmos, I will buy one. But at the moment, I've been repeatedly turned down.
No.
So.
So when you're playing one of these things, I've never. I mean, I've been around yours. I've never actually played with your Rise. Sounds good, doesn't it? Is this a sort of thing that you can approach and play just like a regular keyboard? Because I get the impression the fact that it is that kind of, that very soft gel substance, that it's more about pads and it's gentle playing. Or
No,
can
not
you just go
really.
on, bang out, like the theme to Pot Black or something?
I mean, you've got the digital training wheels, so basically you turn off the ability to doing all your gliding you can control that way.
Oh, okay.
And as long as you're hitting the bumps, you're pretty much getting the keys. So,
But to do it, you have to learn. It is an instrument. It's a different instrument. It's not just like a normal keyboard.
There is a process.
So you have to learn how to do. You have to learn how to play it.
But at least you can put the training wheels on. You can play it, and then as you get more confident, more used to it, and got more muscle memory, where you start not looking at the keys but actually feeling the keys. It's weird, but the transition does happen.
Right.
And then you can give it more and more resolution and play it with more confidence.
Okay.
And you just do that at your pace, So, but because the ideal thing to do is if you do decide to get a Rise, you've never played anything like it before, play it in bed with the lights out. Just don't bother looking at it.
Okay.
And do it, and you will get quite professional at it a lot quicker that way.
Sounds like my wife.
It does. You do have to treat it as a different.
Yeah.
It is a different playing experience, but kind of it's. Especially the original. The Grand is more of a slower learning process, because the Grand. I mean, Kent and I mean, we agree on this. So basically, when they brought out the Grand, they kind of went hell for leather. They basically just went, okay, we're going to make this as versatile as we can in terms of the playing surface, and they really went for it. And then what they realised was maybe they'd gone for it a little too much. And so when they brought out the Rise, I mean, all these claims of they made it better, it's better, it absolute total bollocks. They basically made it cheaper, and they basically came back slightly from the playing surface, and they made it a bit firmer and a bit it doesn't feel as nice. It doesn't feel as nice, and there's less control, because you can. And with the Rise, with the Grand, you can really dig into it. Do you know what I mean? You can dig into the note, whereas you can't with the Rise. And the Grand takes a lot more learning, and also in terms of a lot of the facilities you have on the Rise, that you can basically make it so that you're playing, the precision of your playing doesn't have to be as accurate, doesn't exist on the Grand, whereas on the Rise you can make it so that you have a bit more, you don't have to be so precise to get the pitch perfect. In the Grand, it doesn't have that. Well, it has it to a lot less extent, which means on the Grand you really do have to really be precise, and really do have to properly learn how to do it. But I mean, I've got a Rise. I've not gone for the Rise 2 because I've no interest in the Rise 2, because the Grand for me is where it's really at. If I'm being totally honest with you, I really get on with that surface a lot better.
Yeah, I think the downside on the Grand though was that it only has the 4 dimensions as opposed to the 5 that you get with the Rise.
Yeah.
And of course the other thing is with the Rise, it's like with the Grand, it's more like the professional instrument, because there's no training wheels provided, isn't it? It's like you're going to get a lot of Gray's knees falling off it when you're trying to play it, because there is. Yeah. It is what it is. But I love the way you can. See, on the Rise, you move your finger around on the key. On the Grand, you can actually dig your finger into the key and move the key around. Mm-hmm. And it's got a It's breasts, lovely breasts kind of feel to it, you know. So, and it's great practice for that. Absolutely, Dave.
For what exactly?
Ask me, Anna.
That's what
She'll tell you. She'll tell you. Oh, the grand. Oh, how I love that keyboard.
Oh, dear.
Oh God.
Yeah. I mean, I have zero experience with these. I'm just looking at a picture of the Grand now, and it just looks like a Roli Rise. It doesn't have anything on the right-hand side. Has a wider keyboard and a big circle at the top. But I take your word for it. That
That's
it
it.
is...
It's a different. It's a completely different surface.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a completely different surface.
Well, in terms of the construction, the material.
Yeah, the material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
When the rise, you would you put your finger on the rise and you'd go, this is sort of like rubber, whereas this is the grand. You go, this is more like foam.
Okay.
It's that
Yeah.
kind of difference. Yeah.
Yeah. But I
So-
find the Grand really enjoyable to play, and I don't
Yeah.
really find the Rise that enjoyable to play. So, yeah. But it's a personal
loving
thing.
them. I'm loving them in equal measure. But I now play the grand like you should play the grand, and play the rise like you should play the rise, and get the experience
Yeah.
in equal measure on both of them.
Interesting. Well,
With
there
the
you go.
blocks.
Well, yeah, I've not even tried those. I am a complete Rise virgin, so I'll have to pop over and give it a go. See, I'm not a keyboard player, as many people have told me. So I don't think I'm not a performance player. I can bang a single note in at a time, but I can't do, and so it doesn't really, it's never appealed to me. But I can see why it would to people like you. We've still got 25 minutes to kill here. Any other cash for questions? That'd be I'll tell you what. I've got a question for you both, and you can take as long as you like, please, to answer these. We are getting to the end of the year. There's only another 15 days, 2 weeks left of 2022. The year that the world finally kind of emerged back out of lockdown and stuff, and there's been some pretty damn cool toys released in our world, and I was just wondering, in lieu of us doing a best of 2022 show at the end of this year, where we will try and ascertain, I'm trying to come up with like a viewer participation element to that as well, and I realise I've only got about a week and a half to do that. What for you have been the most interesting pieces of hardware or software that have come out this year, or what events, in terms of music technology, have rattled your boat, or lit up the world for you? Any highlights and lowlights of 2022 from a musical technology perspective? Favorite instruments?
Well, you've got to make mentions like the OBX8. That's
Yeah, I
got
was
to
just
be,
thinking
that's got to be thrown in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Third wave.
Yes. Did you get one yet, Ty?
No, I think I told you. So. Do you remember I got to play on one before they?
Oh yes, Paula's. Yeah.
Yeah, and when Paula brought it round, Paula totally agreed. Essentially, if I didn't have a Jumbo and Solaris, if I didn't have a Solaris and didn't have a Quantum, then it would be a wonderful, fantastic thing. But having a Quantum and a Solaris, it basically the combination of those two together did what kind of the third wave did. In a kind of roundabout way, really, and it would have. There was so much overlap. I mean, we all know that I've got so much overlap with so much of the stuff I've got, but there literally was so much overlap.
Yeah,
it would be ridiculous to be spending $4.5 grand or whatever it is for literally the few facilities that I couldn't get on a Quantum and a Solaris. So, and it sounds great, but again, it sounds great, but I don't have any real urge to have a PPG here. Okay, I just don't, it's just not my, if I want those kind of sounds, I've got plenty of other stuff that does very similar stuff, but doesn't sound exactly like a PPG, but it's, so no, I haven't. So I have to say, I can understand why, I can definitely understand why if that's your bag, that should absolutely be up there in terms of it was a revolutionary synth for the year. I think it's a great synth for the year, just not for me. I'm trying to think.
So
I mean, the thing is, there's been loads of great synths out there, but I'm sitting here trying to think of what they are.
Yeah.
What has there been?
In terms of actually using, I mean, I think we'd have to bring software into this, and I'd have to say Arturia's collection.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't.
But that's been around forever.
Yeah, I know, but
the latest versions, some of the
you know,
updates in there.
Yeah, the latest versions are. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
fair enough.
And so I'm doing it from a more personal point of view, but because I didn't have the Arturia stuff before, and I mean, the last time I tried out an Arturia plugin, it was a long time ago, and it goes, I think it was a Jupiter 8 or something. You played it, and it was like, well, it looks a bit like a Jupiter 8, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Whereas this, what is it? The big collection is loving it.
Yeah, and the CS80 plugin is, you rate that highly.
Yeah, that is quite. It's very well, but it's very, very good actually. Yeah, it needs more work, but they always will.
Yeah, of course.
So,
of course.
But
good.
No, it's a really good one.
The
700
Oh my
FS,
God! Yeah.
That
is this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I completely forgot about that. That is. Yeah. Well, that's fantastic.
If I had one, that would be at the top of my list because I absolutely.
Oh no, they're
love
brilliant. They're
Yeah.
lovely. They're absolutely lovely.
Yeah. I just need to find someone to buy one for me.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can't have mine.
No.
Yeah.
The only downside of that is the brown case that it comes in, which honestly, it's the colour of the brown. It is absolutely hideous. It is like 1974 all over again.
There you go.
So
the software version is very good. I have to say the core
in the
collection,
core collection.
Yeah, that is a very nice synth. And Korg have done some interesting things with the collection this year, not least their last update. But we less said about that the better.
Yeah, we won't mention that.
Yeah. I personally think. I mean, I only really want to speak to things that I've actually been able to play. I thought the OBX8 was fantastic when I got to tinker with that. But again, out of my price range, I'd love to have a go on the third wave. I thought the Synclavia Regen, just the fact that that's come out is exciting. I'm looking forward to hearing one and maybe getting my hands on one at some point. But for me, in terms of stuff, I mean, I've had a few things this year. I'm just trying to think, a few new things. I would say the Arturia Mini Freak has hands down just blown me away, and just love it. Absolutely love it. What they've done. They've taken what was an incredibly cool little synth like the Micro Freak, and then just beefed it up. And it's, I mean, I know that Ty, you probably not like the small keys on it, but sonically, it's just it's. Somebody said to me the other day, is the Mini Freak just like a cut down version of Pigments in hardware? Because it has that to it. It's intuitive. It's instantly gratifying. It's not at all difficult to get your head around, but it's incredibly powerful. And I was playing with it the other day with Kent when we were doing his show, and we were just messing around. People were going, is that the Mini Freak? And it was. And they're like, wow, that's... Because for me, it sounds way bigger than it is. And because it is only a small thing. But it has this real heft to it sonically that tells me, blimey, that sounds bigger than it ought to sound.
Well, I didn't hear anything I didn't like.
Yeah. Well, do you know, I can honestly say the same. The problem I've got is that you've hit the nail on the head, really, for me personally. It's the form factor, because I can't argue that everything I've heard from it has made me just go, wow, I really want one of these. But I can't. I mean, Mr. Sausage Fingers here struggles with mini keys at the best of times.
And you've got a controller there.
Oh, I might have a few. Yeah.
Well, see if you can dig one out. Yeah.
Okay. And I know, but it's yeah. What I really want is, I just want them to turn around and go, okay, we're going to make the big version. And then I can honestly say, the moment they make the big version, I will be absolutely first in the queue.
Yeah.
to get the big version, and that I won't even have to hear it if they just turn around and say it's the big version. I will be first in the queue to get one. But
there is a way
at the
around
moment,
this, you know.
Go on.
So Mini Freak did that thing where Arturia did that thing with the Mini Freak where they supply a one-to-one plug-in version.
Yeah.
Now you can use that as a controller for the hardware or in its own right. So you could then take your fancy 88 key controller, throw it up on the screen, and control the hardware, or even just use the software. I mean, the choice is yours. The software sounds exactly like the hardware. It's a great achievement.
I mean, you know, I said this before. If they release they release the software tomorrow, I'd just buy it in an instant.
Yeah.
But there's just something about the fact that, because I've done it with every other Arturia, when it comes to when they've done all the, you know, kind of the freaks, I've bought them and then bought the bigger one and then bought the bigger one, and it's always like this one. I'm just there thinking, I see what you're doing here, and I know you're tempting me because it sounds fantastic. I don't think anyone can argue the fact it sounds fantastic. It does, and the facility wise, it just looks absolutely brilliant. I mean, I've got the Micro Freak, and that is for the money. That's just ridiculous.
Good, yeah.
It's absolutely sounds fantastic, and if this is a bigger, better version of that, incredible. But then they just stick bloody mini keys on it, and it's just, you know, I just struggle. I do genuinely just struggle with it. But in saying that, if I'm honest, I think if I get to the end of January and I haven't bought one, I think I'll have done quite well, because the pull. Well, no, but it's exactly like you said. Every time I hear one, every time I see one being played, the pull of the sound itself is just, it's great. It sounds great, and that interface. Once you get your head around that interface, it's a brilliant interface.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. So so I honestly think I can't see me kind of getting past January before just going, oh, for God's sake, okay, I'll have some mini keys in the studio somewhere hidden away.
It's a great, and the design, the physical design of it. It's an Axel Hartmann design. It is. It's lovely. I have it here on the front of my desk, and it looks nice as well as it sounds. It really is a great machine. I think Arturia really have come of age, I think, and they are now sort of undoubtedly almost market leaders in both hardware and software, which is is no mean feat, I think. Another great thing I think that I do need, and we have spoken about this a lot, is the sample tray, which is the best 230 or 240 quid I've ever spent.
I hate it.
He's got one. You hate it?
I hate it.
Why?
You know how some bits of gear you just get your head around the interface.
Yeah.
And some bits of gear you just sit there and just your head and your combination of fingers and what's going on the screen just don't align. Yeah. Have you ever had that?
Yeah, Ableton Live.
That's what I've got with this. Literally, and I said this to Kent. I called Kent a few days after I got it, and I'd sat there trying to just get my head around, kind of the way the tracks were lined up with the kind of the clips and everything, and every menu I was diving into, and when I was trying to do some sampling on it, and it was just like, hang on a minute, why have I got to press that? Why have I got to come out of this mode? Why can't I have that track on it? And I love the fact I've got it. And I want to be proven wrong, and I'd love to sit here in 6 months' time going, oh, it's brilliant, because I love what it can do. I love the idea of it. I love the fact that it's got all of that in that little box. Fantastic. But in terms of the interface and my head and my hands, they just don't align. They just absolutely do not align. And bearing in mind, we were brought up on some of the most convoluted menu diving.
True.
We were brought up at that time where our entire world was all about menu diving and trying to find your way. What was that famous saying about kind of wallpapering the hall through a letterbox?
Yes,
we've been there. I've done all of that.
Yeah.
And yet, honestly, this is one of the few things that has genuinely left me just, I can't get my head into it. But I know you love it, so please wax lyrical about it.
Well, no, I completely understand. That was my experience with things like Ableton Live. It's just I really want to love it. I think I could, if I spent a lot of time with it, I could probably learn to accept it. But I just don't want to spend 400 or 500 quid on something that I might not like. This, on the other hand, yes, all Sonicware stuff is known for having a slightly different approach, and I've just been spending time just very slowly building things, and yes, there are a few bugs as well that have been ironed out, and they are developing, and people have come spoken up about workflow issues. For example, when I first got this and I wanted to get to the metronome, there was a whole just series of button pushes to get to the metronome to then change the volume of it, and then I had to go back. Now they've changed it, they've updated it, so now literally when you're in that screen, you just press one button and your metronome is there. You can turn it on, off, and you get straight back to the thing. So they're constantly evolving it, and I think it is going to be one of those things that maybe in 6 months' time there will be an evolution of the firmware that will have taken into account thoughts like your own and from others, and they're very responsive on it. And but I think that in its own right, I can just see me going out, putting this in my laptop bag and just having the ability to just come up with ideas. It's a great ideas machine. I don't see it as a maybe even a performance tool, but it's not a replacement for a DAW, but it's a great way of just getting ideas down.
But basically, the concept of it isn't a million miles away from an OP1. But the difference is with the OP1 UI is that the OP1 UI is just so instant. You know, everything's there. It's so, again, it's going back to the whole pigment thing. It's so visually obvious what needs to be done and where you're going and where you're going to and all this kind of thing. On an OP1, it's just obvious. And I'm just, but in saying that, I can sit here and slag it off, but I do have to then remind people that when the Akai, the S6000 first came out with version 1, it was essentially unusable.
It was.
It was essentially unusable, and then by the version it got to 2.2 or whatever. Yeah, it was beautiful. It's a beautiful machine. So there is hope with these kind of machines that it can get there. And I hope it does, because as I said, it's got some great things about it. So.
It stands a really good chance of that, because they are a small team, so they're agile. And the guy that came up with this and the team that have been working on it are constantly listening and taking on board. New firmware dropped yesterday with some bug fixes. There was one thing that I found, which is when you're connecting it to a computer as a card reader, it wasn't. It was locking itself up and corrupting the SD card. So that's all been fixed now. It's a great little thing. We shall see. Kent, you mentioned the OBX8. Is there anything else that's floated your boat in 20? I mean, we'll obviously go into more detail sort of nearer the time, but anything in particular?
Other than that, not that I can think of at the top of my head. No, not really. Most of this year has just been waiting for the stuff I know I want. And then not arriving. So
it's been a year of anticipation.
Yeah, it's been a year of waiting eagerly, and hopefully you hadn't thrown your money away on something you're not going to like. So
I'll tell you one controversial one.
Go on.
K2700, which in terms of the interface is oh my god, I mean it's it really is like going back to 1996. But in terms of sound, it sounds beautiful. 2700, you can get some fantastic sounds out of it. But yeah, in terms of interface, it is it's kind of retro in a bad way.
Okay.
But but it's one of those that's just kind of completely slipped under the radar, and but it's a nice machine. But the interface is great. But sound wise, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I had a go on it at Gearfest in London, Tile Yard, and like you say, I looked at it and it didn't draw me in. But then my boy went and started playing on it, and he was doing this stuff, and I got the headphones on, and I mean, it's got that that quality that you can't deny, occurs well.
Yeah, it's just quality. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
And all the synth sounds on it. There's some fantastic synth sounds on there.
Yeah, no, yeah. Internally, it's a stunning piece of kit. They just need to work on their UI, I think. But yeah,
well, it's not that they need to work on it. They need to actually bring it into the right century. That's all.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
this was somebody else just mentioned this in the chat. I think 2 for Sonicware this year. But the Lo-Fi 12 is a poor man's SP1200. I'm putting it out there. It's a poor man's SP1200 because it gives you that sound. It gives you that sort of flexibility. For what, a couple of hundred, 200? No, it's about 270, I think, for one of these. But it's so much fun, and it is an easier interface to get on with. But that has been a lot of fun to play around with that one. So yeah.
But or you could spend 500 on your 5 software Roland drum machines.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No.
Don't want to be controversial there, but you could buy that and another drum machine.
Could. I'll tell you what I've been buying a lot of. More wall wart power supplies. Because
whatever turns you on.
I've either lost them, or in the case of Sonicware, I don't know why they don't do it. They did it with the Sample Trek. They supply a power supply, but with the Livens they don't. I tell a lie. With the XFM, you had the option to add one in, but generally they don't. So you basically go out and buy a Volca compatible power supply. As you can see, I have tacked them already with the Dymo machine.
Well done.
But I've been. It's just like I had another one turn up today because I wanted to use my Alesis perk pad just to have something to hit on, and the power supply, just this bit here, the join, the wire. It was 2 very thin black wires, and they'd split and exposed the metal, the core underneath. I was I'm not plugging that into anything, so I had to buy another power supply for that. And Alesis use some. They're odd with their power supplies. They're usually AC, not AC/DC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, and I got very excited about my new red USB cables that arrived today with the little right-angled ends, which makes them a lot more convenient.
Sorted.
There you go. Just wrap some of those. You don't need tinsel. You just need red USB.
Hang them from the tree.
Yeah. It's,
what an exciting end to the year.
Isn't it just?
Wall warts and USB cables.
USB cables, yeah. That's
Happy Christmas, everyone.
It's all you need. It's all you need. But that has eaten up some time. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much for that. We will be talking more about. Best gear of the year, best software of the year in our year-end show, which is on the 30th of December. We have one more show before that, which is next Friday, so the Friday before Christmas, the 23rd. I don't know what's going to happen there, whether it'll be alcohol-fueled. I hope it will be. Ben should be back. I don't think Ben's got any gigs. He's certainly not mentioned anything, so fingers crossed Ben will be back for that one. So we shall have a little bit of fun there. Maybe there'll be some news. There almost certainly won't be, so we're going to need to come up with something. Maybe we'll just have a free-for-all, an open house.
Make shit up.
Yeah, we can make stuff up. Yeah. But on the 30th, we will be doing like our best of that we did last year. We sort of picked our 5 hardware synths, 5 software synths, and effects, I think. We don't go overboard, so we'll do that. But I want to try and get some like audience participation in there, whether it's using just the polls feature. I need to figure out how to do all of that. So we've got 2 more shows before the end of the year, and then I've yet to approach him about it, but I'm sure he will, because he always does. So beginning of this year, 2022, we had Dr. Mike Metley come on, and we did our predictions for the year 2022. What do we think what was going to happen? Who was going to release what? And we put a massive poll up onto the Facebook page. And I went back to that poll just the other day and was looking through, and I'm thinking, wow, some people do need to go out and buy a lottery ticket a bit more often, because we got some things bob on. And some of them were way off the mark, and some of them absolutely never happened and probably never will now. But don't want to sort of burst anyone's sort of bubble here, but we predicted the OBX8, and we said that would happen this year, and I don't think we had much to go on. It was just like, yeah, that's kind of got to be an obvious thing, and we didn't have any insider information back then. So yeah, we got that one right. Osmos was one that was on. I won't say what we said about the Osmos, but it's almost come true. Might still do. You never know. But yeah, so we're going to try and do that on whatever day it will be. Let me think. Third, what is it, the 5th or the 5th or the 6th, I think, of January. Our first show in 2023. So we'll do that, and hopefully we'll have a whole raft of wonderful guests to talk to. We are still talking to more people, and we'll have no more guests, no more. How should I say? Unexpected guests. No more big name guests. Not that, of course, Mr. Unwin is not a big name. It's quite a short name, isn't it? Ty. Yeah.
Twat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's short for something, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it?
Yeah. Tyrannical, I
Tyrannical.
No, twat. That's what it's short for.
So you can't even spell twat
What is
right.
Ty short for then? If you don't
Tyrone.
Tyrone. Of course.
Tyrone.
No, I should. I think I knew that. I thought Tyrone. Okay. A bit of a mouthful.
Yeah.
Or so Philippa told me. How is the lovely lady?
All good.
Good.
All good, thank you.
Glad to hear it.
All very
Excuse
good.
me,
thank
that's
you
the
very
bridges that I cross. These are my bridges, my man.
Okay. Okay. So, well, look, listen, Ty, I don't think we'll probably see you before Christmas. You never know, we might do, but if we
That
don't,
That was said with wishful thinking.
Wow, we almost didn't see him tonight.
well, this
Exactly.
is true. This is true. But if we don't, have a fantastic.
Yes.
I know you really get into it. So have a fantastic one. And
Thank you very much. I will. At some point, I promised to Ken to tour around the house with the.
yes, I need to come and see.
The lounge that basically looks like Winter Wonderland in London,
Yeah.
just in the lounge. So it's it's
Yes,
it's good.
we need to visit. I think we were supposed. Weren't we? We were supposed to be doing some kind
Yeah,
of
we
studio
were.
tour, weren't we?
Yeah.
So I need to.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll
But
kickstart
at some
that.
point.
Yeah.
At some
Cool.
point, that'd be great. Of course.
People on
More than welcome.
Skylab going, what is that?
Skylab.
What is
Now
that
you're
bright
showing your
star
age.
on the ground?
I tell you, I said this to Ken. I figured out. So basically, I've got some like kind of lasers that go in the garden, and
Right.
they go out on. There's a whole load of trees. So they light up all the trees, all these lasers on the trees.
Okay.
But one of them was. I thought, I'll get another one. So I bought it in, but of course lasers don't like the cold, and of course in this weather. So I tried putting it in the house, shining through the glass, and it doesn't affect it at all. It's literally as if it's outside, except it's in the warm, so the laser's more efficient. It shines all the way. It shines all the way out to light up all the trees, all of the garden, all of everything. But you also get it hits the glass and reflects on the glass, and also completely lights up the entire house.
Oh my word.
Inside it's all open plan, so it's all lasers inside and outside from one laser.
Wow.
It's great.
Isn't
Anyway,
there
it looks.
is it like a safety thing though? Because I know that
Oh, safety, schmasty,
Well-
rafety,
some
It's diffracted, come on.
If I come on with one eye blinded, with a patch on my eye, it all went horribly wrong. But
I know those sorts of lasers they're low class lasers, but we deal with lasers in my day job, and I've written training, safety training on lasers, and it's incredibly sort of dodgy business, isn't it? I'm just thinking of your safety.
I'm sure I read on it that it's absolutely fine.
Yeah. Well,
They're
I'm just
not
thinking about
gonna-
the
they're not gonna
reflecting of the off the glass.
On the instructions, actually, it's absolutely fine.
Yeah,
Written at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be fine.
Hang on, what's that? Be careful of green lasers in the cold. Most of them are green. They can spike in UV and look off. What does look off mean?
Don't know. Not look green, maybe.
Dear.
Off green.
Oh, I don't know.
Dunno.
Anyway, sorry,
Anyways,
on that bombshell,
Oh,
on
yes,
my
that's me.
imminent blindness and death.
Well, yeah, don't say I didn't warn you, and all that. And look, have a fantastic Christmas and New Year, mate. And thank you ever so much for coming on. At such short notice.
Thanks for the patience in me getting it together. So,
Oh no, well, it was
appreciated.
worth the wait.
So-
Worth the wait.
Excellent.
enjoy your break. Kent, we'll see you, of course, next week. Any sort of fancy plans for the weekend? Because we might be doing some of that.
Oh yes, we've got to get some in.
Yeah, Gran Turismo.
What about you, Tyzo?
If I can kind of get above my Honda, whatever it is, I haven't played it for months, but I'll get the wheel out. I'll come and join on, and I'll be your whipping
mate. If
boy,
you can't go
fine.
above Honda, we'll all drive Hondas.
Okay,
Little Honda Beats.
that's fine.
Yeah, go around Brands Hatch in Honda Beats.
Yeah, take half an hour per lap. Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
you know what? I think I've got a Nissan 380 or something now, so we'll go with one of those.
Actually, you
The
might be
370. That's what
I think
I've
you
got,
can actually
370.
get more access to cars when you go into the multiplayer
Okay.
anyway.
And you can
Well,
sell
I'm-
cars now as well.
Oh, can you?
Oh.
Yes.
Well, I'll happily get it out and I'll play it with you.
Okay. And
On that bombshell.
fire up the PlayStation 5 as well.
Anything else, Kent, in your weekend?
Well, I finally bought Fiona's Christmas present tonight. Because I've been trying to get hints off her.
I know. I still haven't bought my missus anything.
Right. So, but she did let something go a couple of days ago, and I just kept an eye.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. That was
Yeah,
beans.
so it's. I know it sounds weird, but I bought her a coffee table.
Okay.
So, but you know those ones you see on YouTube. It's walnut driftwood and blue resin.
Okay. Oh yes, yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's
I thought
cool.
that can't be because it's literally a bit of wood and some plastic. So it's a plastic coffee table. It won't cost much. It's 1,700 quid.
That's who's that behind you, by the way? No.
That's Hans. and he wouldn't contribute any money to my cause. So
Oh dear. No,
No,
I asked my missus, "What do you want?" She said, "I don't know." And like
Yeah.
every day, I don't know.
mate, I've had 2 months of that bullshit.
I know. Because the relationship we have is that she'll say, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I'll say, "Well, you know, there's that or there's that," and she'll go, "Well, you buy it and I'll wrap it up." Where's the fun in that? There's no surprise.
Yeah.
So when I cheapskate, when I saw the new Beatles Revolver box set for like 63 quid on Amazon Italy, I said, "I'll have that for Christmas." So she said, "Go on, then you order it." So I know what I'm getting for Christmas. I'm getting that. But she just has absolutely no idea whatsoever. So I need to do something this weekend because that's it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy
Well, I'm
stuff.
smug because I'm all sorted. So there we go.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you ever so much, gentlemen.
Typical.
We will be back same time, same place next week. I do just need to do two things. I'm not sure if I thanked Matt for his £5 donation. If I did, I'm
Go on,
thanking
mate.
you again. If I didn't, there you go. And also to Mr. Brooks, of course, who has been very faithfully posting links to every single topic into the chat for us. They will all appear in the description below at some point over the weekend when I can feel up to it. And not that there's much to put in this week, let's be honest. So we'll do that later. But thank you, Andrew, for your moderation and for your putting of the links in the chat. We will see you same time, same place next week with something resembling a Christmas type show. We have no idea what's going to happen. Maybe that's for the best. And yeah, have a great weekend, everyone. Don't forget, Rands is on tomorrow afternoon. And then I think Dom is back finally this Sunday. And of course, there's Jamie as well on Sunday. Nick on the Wednesday. So lots
Inky's got a thing on Saturday
Oh,
night
Inky's
as well.
birthday party tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes. So go and search YouTube for Inky the Cat's birthday party. Lots of people playing there. So yeah, lots of good stuff going on this weekend. Of course, it's the World Cup final as well. So I know what I'm doing Sunday afternoon. So take great care, everyone. Have fun. Thank you, Ty. Thank you, Kent. We'll see you all soon. Have a fantastic
you.
weekend. Bye-bye.
See you later.